All right. Hello and welcome. My name is Daphne Adler and I'm one of the counselors at Los Altos High School, and I am so happy to welcome you to our UCAS workshop for UK college applications. I am thrilled to have a number of university reps with us today, which I'll introduce to you, and just a little bit of like housekeeping. This session is being recorded. And so we'll have this available for students to view on the YouTube channel for the College Career Center anytime that you wish. And in this live session, please do ask questions. We really encourage students to ask whatever is on your mind. There are no bad questions. This is all brand new for students. And so, do ask, because we've got all these great resources and it's quite different from the US process. So we definitely encourage you to speak out. And then what else about that? This is just the very beginning. We just had our kickoff event for International University Month last night, and we've got a whole month-long event with a ton of different workshops. We've got about 16 countries represented this year, 4 continents, really exciting, and more of our MVLA students are getting interested in going abroad, which is awesome. So I think with that, we'll introduce everyone. We're gonna have a slide presentation in a moment. So we have with us Ali Clark from University of Stirling. She's going to get us rolling in a moment. We've got Jenny Oxley from Leeds Arts University and Johnny Hill from Ulster University in Belfast, Northern Ireland. Oh, and Leeds is in England. And we have Ashley Warmington from University of Glasgow in Scotland. So really great variety from the UK, and they're all going to share a little bit with you about the UCAS application and any differences between the regions. I'm going to turn it over to Ali. Thanks so much.
Great, thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen. Just 2 seconds. Hopefully you can all see that now. So yes, we are all representing different universities across the UK. Ashley and I are both at Scottish universities, which is slightly different from the rest of the UK in that our degree programs tend to be 4 years. So it's probably something that you're very familiar with in the States. Johnny is here from Ulster University, which is in Northern Ireland. And then Jenny is from Leeds Arts University in England. So you're basically getting a whistle-stop tour of the UK. What we're going to talk about today, Johnny's going to talk about the UCAS application process and some of the key dates that you need to be looking out for and the different sections. And then Jenny's going to give you some top tips on personal statements. But first of all, I'm going to cover choosing and applying, because you only have 5 choices in your UCAS form if you decide to apply for the UK. So you need to choose wisely in terms of the subjects that you're going to choose. So first things first, why go to university? Well, it's a question that a lot of students ask themselves. It could be that there's a particular career that you're interested in, and more often than not, if there is a particular career like nursing, or you want to be a doctor, you want to do medicine, you want to be a lawyer, you need to study law, you have to go to the university to pick up the qualification to enable you to study, to pursue that career. Or it could be that you want to study a completely new subject. Now, there are many thousands of different degree programs and subjects to study at university, obviously not all tied into a career. It might be something completely new. Just off the top of my head, not at Stirling, but at other universities across the UK, there are even random degree combinations like football studies and music, or forensic anthropology. There's so many different degree programs to choose from that it can be a bit of a minefield when you're trying to do your research and narrow down to the last 5. It could be that you've really enjoyed a subject at school, you maybe really enjoy the sciences, or you're more into sort of languages and literature, and you want to pursue that subject further at university. But it does improve career prospects. So over the course of, the average graduate's earning lifespan, they would earn around about £100,000, that's Great British pounds, more than somebody that doesn't go to university. So it allows you, it opens a lot of doors, being a student and graduating from university. So we'll go into a bit more detail about the other things that you can get involved in. And it broadens horizons as well, because obviously you're there to get a qualification, but you'll never be a student again. So it's important to take advantage of all the sort of extracurricular things that you can do as a student. You are able to study abroad, not just come to the UK. You can then further study abroad for a semester or a year in one of our European partners, or you can take up an internship and do a work placement that's related to your course. So there's so many things that you can add on to your degree. So in terms of making choices, one of the first things to look at is the entry requirements, because obviously there's 4 universities represented today, and I'm sure there's 4 different entry requirements that we're looking for. And even entry requirements from course to course, from program to program, can differ. Obviously something like medicine, which is a highly competitive program, will have a much higher entry tariff and much higher entry requirement than perhaps something like business management. So it's important to look out for that when you're doing your research. Look at what is achievable. By all means, have some aspirational choices on there, but have some realistic options as well. And don't be caught out. Look for some essential subjects. If you're applying for something like a science-based program, or even something like sports science or geography, you may well be asked for a science as one of the essential subjects. So do look out for that when you're doing your research. In terms of course content, yes, if you're applying for something that's quite niche, or there's only a few universities that actually offer that program, then that's an easier, it's easier for you in terms of your research. But if you're applying for something that is offered by many, many universities, something like computing science or business management, or perhaps something like history, then it's quite useful to look at the course content, because a history program at one university may look completely different from a history program at another university. It could be that there's work placements involved. It could be that you're really interested in ancient history, so the likes of Rome and Greece, and the universities that you're looking at are maybe looking more at modern history, so the world wars, etc. So, you know, it's important to get the right fit for you and do a little bit of research. Graduate prospects can also be useful to look at to see how many of the graduates are getting graduate type employment post-graduation. And a lot of the universities in the UK have very high graduate employability rates. So, but sometimes it can vary from program to program. So have a look out for that as well. Study abroad, I've touched on. Obviously, if you decided to come to the UK, you would be studying abroad anyway. But like I say, even though you do that, you do still have the option, certainly in Scotland, with that extra year, to be able to study abroad somewhere else for a semester or a year. There's over 50,000 different degree programmes to choose from across the UK. So like I say, it's good to start your research a wee bit early. In terms of your research, well, one of the fantastic research sort of things to tap into that you've got on tap essentially are your high school counsellors. They have seen many, many students go through the university process in the United States and also globally as well. And I'm sure they've seen plenty of UCAS forms in their time. So do take their advice, because they will know the difference between a good application and one that's maybe not going to be quite so successful. So do take their advice when filling in your application. UCAS search, obviously Johnny's going to talk you through the actual application, but in terms of doing your research, this is a good starting point. If you go into the website ucas.com, and if you've got a subject that you're already interested in or a career that you're already interested in, if you type in that subject, it will come back with all the universities right across the UK that offer that particular programme, because it is the same system that we all use, whether we're in Northern Ireland, Wales, England or Scotland. It's UCAS. Then obviously each university will have their own website, and with COVID, we've moved to a virtual world, as you can probably tell. We are hoping to get back to in-person open days shortly, but I don't think virtual open days are going away. And it also allows you in California to be able to come into the University of Stirling in Scotland, find out a bit more, chat to our current students and academics, and get a feel for the place. So again, these virtual open days, you know, they usually take about a couple of hours. You can dip in, dip out, and again, it gives you a bit more of a flavour than maybe the printed page would be. However, there still does seem to be an appetite for printed material, and every university will have a university prospectus or a course catalogue, which is full of beautiful pictures of that particular university, but it has got the hard facts. It tells you what the entry requirements are, and the essential subjects, and about the course as well. But for you guys, probably your best bet is the university websites themselves and tapping into some of these virtual open days or webinars. League tables is another thing to look at. Every university will be part of numerous league tables. There's league tables for the top universities in the UK. There's league tables per subject. So if you're particularly interested in the subject that you're studying, that's the league tables you might want to look at. There's ones for graduate employability. There's ones for student satisfaction. There's so many different league tables out there that I would just focus in on perhaps one or two things that's important to you, because otherwise one that's good for graduate employability might not be so good for student satisfaction. So you need to just hone in on what is important to you and just look at those. This is the UCAS search engine. Like I say, you can just type in, search for courses, you just search for the subject there, and you can put the entry year as well. So if you're thinking of coming next year, you put your 2022, or if you're perhaps thinking about a gap year first, then you can drop down to 2023. So it just gives you an idea, because sometimes universities may have a course on offer next year that they maybe didn't have this year, etc. So in terms of where to study, you've already thought about what course that you're interested in or what subject that you want to study at university, and then that will obviously determine which universities offer that particular programme, because we don't all offer everything. Ashley offers medicine. We don't offer medicine at Stirling. We offer paramedic science. Ashley doesn't offer paramedic science. So, you know, we all have different specialisms. So once that's narrowed down, you would then need to think about where you really want to study. So there are lots of different options right across UK, but they tend to fit into two styles of university. So city-based universities, where you could have numerous buildings, all the universities buildings, whether it be sports facilities, teaching facilities, are all in the same place. Some are spread throughout the city, depending where they are. Or it could be a campus-based university, and what I mean by that is it tends to be a purpose-built campus university, so everything is in the one location. So eateries, sports facilities, library, accommodation tends to all be in the same location if it's a campus university. You've got to decide what's right for you. Across the UK, obviously we've got larger cities, we've got more rural locations, so it's got to be a personal feel for you. Other things to factor in are the university facilities. So if you're really interested in sport, then you may want to go to somewhere with state-of-the-art sports facilities. If you're really into swimming, not every university will have an Olympic standard swimming pool. Or it could be the thing that's important to you is the student accommodation. Is the student accommodation on the campus? Is it close by to where my lectures are? Because I'm not good in the mornings at getting up, and I don't really want to take too long between my halls of residence, and my lectures. So it then comes down to sort of the university facilities that are on offer. University specialism and reputation, again, that goes down to league tables, but also, like I say, not every university is going to offer every subject. You will have support services available, everything from career services to academic skills, to counselling services. So please be aware that they're all there and ready to help you when you come to a UK university. Student life is also a factor as well. It could be that there's various clubs and societies. Every university will have something slightly different. I mean, we have the Reenactment Society at Stirling, which is the one that I'm most interested in. So if anybody's seen the film Braveheart, Stirling is very much William Wallace, Braveheart country, and they have a reenactment society. But I think my all-time favourite society that I've heard about is Robert Gordon University. That's another Scottish one that's in Aberdeen, and they have the Toast Appreciation Society, where they try out different types of bread and buns every week to see what toasts better. So there's something for absolutely everyone. It doesn't just have to be about sport, but there is sport as well. I've got a secret to tell you all. The reason that I didn't get involved in any clubs or societies when I was a student was because I wrongly assumed they were all to do with sport. They're not. And just before I hand over to Johnny, obviously I've talked about whether it's a campus or a city environment that's going to suit you. The other thing to factor in is the size of the university, because that can vary drastically. If you want a bit more one-to-one contact, you might want to go for a smaller institution. Or if you want anonymity and you want to be in a city environment, you might want to go for one of the larger universities. So certainly across the UK, some of our smallest universities tend to have about 4,000 to 4,500 students, right the way up to, I think at Manchester is the biggest with 45,000 students. So it gives you an idea of the scale of things, and you've just got to pick something that's right for you. Obviously, coming from the States, accessibility, so transport links are going to be important. So you may want to factor in, where are the airports, what's the sort of transport like, how easy is it for me to get home, or for people to come and visit me. And I've touched on accommodation. A lot of universities are moving much more towards self-catered options and more away from meal plans. So get some recipes up your sleeve if you haven't mastered beans on toast yet. I'm going to pass over to Johnny, and he's going to now talk you through, now that you've made your decision, he's going to talk you through the actual UCAS application process.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Ali. Okay, folks, yeah, so I'm Johnny. I'm from Ulster University in Northern Ireland. So I'm going to give you a high-level overview about the UCAS process, how you apply, what's actually entailed in the actual application itself. So I'm not going to go too much into this because Ali's touched on it pretty thoroughly there about, you know, the UK education system. But just to recap, and somebody did ask a question and got bombarded with all our responses, which fortunately are all the same. But one of the key things is how long is a degree in the UK? Well, typically it's 3 years in England, Wales and Northern Ireland, and in Scotland it's 4 years. However, some courses may have a mandatory year placement where you work in the industry, or you may want to do a semester abroad through Erasmus or something like that, which could increase the duration of your course. All degrees, well, typically all degrees are direct entry from high school, and there are a number of degree types depending on the institution and how they like to brand them. Generally, you will have a Bachelor of Science or a Bachelor of Arts, but some universities may offer their, say, courses as a B for Engineering or B Design and Arts. And then some of them may be an integrated undergrad and postgrad course, which makes it a 4-year program, such as a MEng, which is a Master of Engineering, but it's integrated undergrad and postgrad. So the actual application system itself. So if you're aware of the Common App, that was loosely based on the UCAS system. So if you've taken a look at that, UCAS might not be too unfamiliar to you. But basically, every UK university will use UCAS to administer applications for students to enter university. So you'll be able to find all the universities that are here today, as well as others, and also colleges as well for other level of study. Ali mentioned before, you can apply to 5 institutions. Make sure you're picking those correctly. Do your research, make sure they are the right universities for you. You don't have to apply to 5 universities if you don't want to. You could apply to 1, you could apply to 3. Generally, we recommend applying to a few because it's good to have a couple of backup options. Maybe your preferred one, then a few backup options after that. Additionally, you could apply to multiple courses. So that'd be worth maybe just having a quick think exactly what university you want to do and what course at that institution that you want to study. Big question that we often get asked is, do I need to wait until I've graduated from my high school? Well, no, you don't. You can apply. So applications for September 2022 are open. Sorry, if you could go back, sorry, a quick second. Yeah. So applications are open now. You don't need to have met the entry criteria yet because you're still finishing your final year. Once you have graduated from high school, you can submit your qualifications afterwards. And I'm going to come to a bit later on how those offers are made. Some universities also accept direct applications like ourselves. So we use UCAS and we have our own application through the website. There are a number of institutions that do that, but quite a lot generally stick to just UCAS. You can review where your application is up to through UCAS Track. You can check that through the year, see how your offers are progressing. And also just to note that there is a fee involved, but it's pretty minimal cost really. It's around $28 US for one application, or if you're applying to multiple, so say if you're applying to 5, it's $36 US in total. So £26, give or take with exchange rates. So what's actually included? So personal details. You've got to provide all the personal information about yourself. So who you are, where you're from, where you live. You need to provide contact details. These need to be accurate. So phone numbers, email addresses. Some people use their parents. Some people want to use their own. You can put yourself and the parent as well. And you can also put contacts for a counsellor such as Ms. Adler as well. You can choose your university that you want to apply for and the course of choice or choices. You need to provide information about your education history. So what qualifications are you undertaking? So high school diploma, are you taking any college entrance exams, AP courses and so on? Employment history. So provide us with a bit of information about, have you had a job, whether it be a part-time role working in, say, a library or a cafe. This just helps give us a bit more of a kind of rounder view of who you are as a person. There may be a course where we're looking for people with, say, interpersonal skills or, the ability to think logically and independently. And this, depending on the work that you've done, can provide a bit of an insight into what you are like as a student. A personal statement, or some people may call it a statement of purpose. This is about why you want to do this course. I'm not going to touch too much on that because Jen's going to go into that in a lot more detail. And an academic reference. So this is really important, as is personal statements and all the other information. The academic reference is a reference from somebody from your high school that basically says, this student is a fantastic student, you should accept them because they will succeed in this course and in their career and so on. And it's an opportunity for them to just back up your application. So this, again, I've just given you a quick high level overview, but all of this is what's going to really impact on whether you get an offer or not. One part that I did actually mean to refer to in the personal details is when you're going through it, there'll be a section about that is quite personal. So things about ethnicity and also disability. Now, don't be concerned about that thinking, could that impact on whether you're made an offer or not? A lot of the time, the institutions want to know, do you have additional kind of study requirements, such as, say, dyslexia, for example, then the universities want to know, can they put in the additional resources into place to support you? So you shouldn't be concerned about just mentioning that you may have these additional supports, and also ethnicity. That is not a judged thing. So it's more just to understand the backgrounds of where our students are coming from. So in terms of dates, I mentioned before that applications are open now. So they typically open in September. If you're interested in applying to Cambridge or Oxford, or for a medicine, dentistry or veterinary program, you've got to get your application in pretty quickly because those deadlines end in 10 days. So that's the 15th of October It's a very strict deadline for those institutions and those particular courses. For everybody else, there's the equal consideration deadline, which is the 15th of January. So again, we've not got too long. My recommendation would be to start on your application. You don't have to submit it straight away. You can start it, log back in, have another look, come back in a week or two's time, but just work on it, whatever's going to work best with yourself and with your studies advisor. I recommend getting it in before Christmas. The last thing you want to be doing is panicking over Christmas and not enjoying that festive period. So yeah, do try and get those in sooner rather than later. However, there is also the opportunity to apply after those deadlines. However, equal consideration means that we have to accept those applications and review them officially to consider you for a place on the course. It doesn't guarantee you a place on the course, but we have to review it. So there is flexibility afterwards, but I can't emphasize this enough that you should really apply before January the 15th. So I'll try not to dwell on those other dates too much because you want to aim for that 15th of January, but should you need to, there is potential other dates that could be followed. Yeah, so on to the next slide then. So just to recap on some of those points. So you've got your application telling us all about your personal details, what you're currently studying and so on. The personal statement, which Jenny's going to cover in detail. The reference, which could be somebody like one of your teachers, your studies advisor, college advisor, and so on. Your qualifications, so this is really important. As Ali alluded to earlier, entry criteria is really important. Some courses can be really strict and have high entry criteria. Some may be a little bit more flexible. So it'd be worth reviewing those courses and their entry criteria before you apply. Some courses may have an interview. For example, our physiotherapy course is probably the most competitive course that we have, and there are 3 places for international students. So you have to do an interview as well as submitting an application. Fortunately, it can be done online through Zoom or whatever platform we choose to use. Other courses, creative arts, may have portfolio requests. So you may have to demonstrate, for example, 20 pieces of graphic design work if you're applying for a graphic design kind of program or some kind of creative kind of work. And if you're interested in something like a performing arts, so dance, theatre, music, so on, you may be required to do an audition or submit a show reel. So there's a little bit more to it than just the qualifications that you're studying. So if you're applying for a course that is creative, I would suggest working on your portfolio now. That doesn't have to be submitted straight away. You can work on that over the coming months. But if you're applying for one of those courses, make sure you ask the question, how many pieces of work do you need to submit? How do you submit it? Could you submit your work through, say, Instagram? Could it be a website? Could it be PDFs, presentations, so on? So you really want to know exactly how it is that institution wants to see your quality of expertise. Okay, so the next section then is just about what the actual offers are. So I mentioned before that you can submit an application now, but you don't have to have graduated from your course yet. And that's because we give what's called a conditional offer. So basically what we're saying is, we will accept you onto this course if you meet the GPA in your high school diploma of, say, for example, 3.0, and you have taken the SATs and have a score of, say, 1200, for example. So you have up until the document submission deadlines to meet, the condition deadline to submit these qualifications to meet that entry criteria. Once you do, that place is yours on the course. Again, the conditions may include things like providing your portfolio. You may have to do the interview, and that all falls into the conditional place. Unconditional is when you've met all the conditions. That means that place is yours. It means you're committing, you're guaranteed that place on the course. If you want to accept a conditional or an unconditional, that's when you go firm. And if you have accepted one as your firm choice, you have the option then to accept a university as an insurance choice if you've applied to more than one institution. I've mentioned, it says there as well, invitation to an audition or interview. Again, that university will advise if that course has anything specific. Change of course, it can be possible to change courses. There is a thing called UCAS clearing, but we try not to get into that. We strongly advise that you understand what you're applying for way in advance, you do your research, and you're committed to applying for that program. And then there's unsuccessful. And let's hope that none of you end up going down that route. But conditional is the main one that you would be offered first. So yeah, just to recap, you'll apply through UCAS. Most courses deadline is 15th of January, apart from those institutions such as Oxford and Cambridge and those competitive courses such as medicine, dentistry, and veterinary sciences. And that's the 15th of October. You'll get an offer, generally conditional offer. You accept your place by going firm or insurance. And then once you met the conditions, hop on a plane, come across the sea, and we'll be welcoming you with opening arms. So, well, maybe not now with COVID, but yeah, that's basically high-level view about UCAS. And I'm going to hand over to Jenny now, who's going to go into a bit more detail about the personal statement. Sorry, they're just my details. If you want to reach out to me, feel free to scan the WhatsApp or the one-to-one meetings. You can book a Zoom meeting or chat through WhatsApp. So I'll hand over to Jenny now.
Thanks very much, Jenny. So my name is Jenny and I am head of the international team at Leeds Arts University. And we're a small specialist university based in the city of Leeds, which is in the north of England. And you might have gathered from our name that we are an arts university. And as Johnny mentioned, we do require portfolios. So if anyone does have any questions about the portfolio process, like Johnny mentioned, then do feel free to pop those in the chat. So I'm going to give you a bit of an overview about the personal statement, which really is sometimes referred to as a statement of purpose, sometimes referred to as an application essay. So there's several different names for it, but we're all talking about the same thing. And it's a very important part of your UCAS application. It is just one component of the UCAS application, but it is a very important part of it. And the whole purpose of the personal statement is to support your application for study. So it makes a more rounded picture of you as an applicant. So rather than just being a list of grades or achievements as part of your application, it really does give the admissions assessor an overall picture of you as a person and as an applicant. So I've mentioned it is just one component of the UCAS application. And what it does really is just present you as a person as part of the application. As Johnny and Ali outlined, your application does go to 5 university choices or up to 5 university choices. So it's very important that you keep the personal statement focused on you as the applicant and the course that you want to study. So it is a blind application. The same application goes to all your university choices. But if as part of the application you're referring to a specific university, then that might put different admissions assessors off. So if you're talking about how much you love the University of Ulster in your application, then the University of Stirling might think, well, they're not so enthusiastic about our university and will consider other candidates over you. You can also apply to different courses at your different university choices. So a very important part of the personal statement is that you keep it focused on the course and don't be too course specific. So for example, if you were applying to us and you were applying to our music course, but you're also applying to the graphic design course, it might then be difficult to explain concisely why you're interested in both those courses. So it does make it slightly easier if you are focused on one specific type of course. That doesn't mean that you can't apply to different courses, but you will need to think that through carefully as part of your personal statement. So it is your opportunity to really articulate why you want to study that particular course. And a lot of students do find the personal statement a bit of an intimidating thing to approach, because really, when you're at this stage in your career, it is the first time that you've actually had to really sell yourself. So it can be quite a difficult piece of work to approach. So we do recommend you give yourself plenty of time. So just think of it really as this is your opportunity to expand upon the skills and experience that you have that show your interest in the course and show why you would be successful as part of that course. And it is very important to be concise. So you do have around 4,000 characters in your personal statement. So you do want to plan it out properly and give yourself plenty of time. So with your personal statement then, so of course, as I think we've all mentioned, the most important thing to get across is your enthusiasm for the subject. But you also want to explain why you're enthusiastic about that subject and perhaps where it comes from and what you hope to be able to do in the future when you're successful in that course. So for example, if you were applying to my university, you wouldn't just want to say how much you love the creative arts. You'd want to explain exactly why you love the creative arts. What is it that you enjoy doing? What is it you hope to do? And where you think your future career will focus on. It's also very important to cover how your previous studies relate to the course. So for example, if throughout high school you've chosen lots of arts related courses, you want to explain exactly what they have taught you and how they relate to the course of study you are now applying for. You also want to include relevant aspects of work experience, placements or volunteering that you've undertaken. And these are all really useful because they show exactly what you've done to find out about that course and about what might be involved in working in that course as a career. But when you talk about your work experience and your placements or any volunteering placements that you might have done, it's also very important to talk about the skills that you've learned as part of those and how you think they might relate to the course and to a future career in that area. Your activities and hobbies, so extracurricular activities, are also really important, especially if they're relevant to the course. So for example, if you are thinking about an arts course and you've taken the time in your free time to visit an exhibition of an artist that particularly interests you, you might want to talk about that. Maybe talk about why that artist inspires you, what is it you find interesting, and just show the admissions assessor exactly what you've done to find out about that course and about a career that that course might lead to. And of course, any training or achievements that show your skills, but just be very careful that your personal statement doesn't become a list of your achievements. You want to talk about it and what you've learned about it and relate it back to the course rather than just listing everything that you have done, because that's what the rest of your UCAS application is for. So some do's and don'ts of your personal statement. And like I said, give yourself plenty of time. And this is just really a few hints on how to approach your personal statement when you first start to write it and you're just facing that blank page. You might want to plan it out and put it in a draft form first, and maybe even plan out what you want to talk about in each paragraph as you approach your personal statement. So of course, the main objective is to show that you know your strengths and you're outlining your ideas clearly. It's not a long piece of work, really. 4,000 characters sounds like a lot, but it's really not. So just be concise. And be enthusiastic. So if you want to show your interest in the course, it will help you get a place. This is your opportunity to set yourself apart from other candidates. Show you can stand out in a crowd and set yourself apart. Like I said, do think about producing several drafts of your personal statement before you will be completely satisfied with it. I don't think anyone has ever sat down and just rushed out a personal statement within the course of one afternoon. And as Johnny mentioned, you can save your UCAS application and come back to it several times. So you might want to think about doing several drafts, maybe leaving it for a while, coming back to it and then adjusting it and improving on it as necessary. Do make sure you ask the people you trust for their feedback. So of course, parents, but also your friends and your guidance counselor as well, because they'll have seen many different personal statements and they will be able to give you some very important and hopefully honest feedback on this. Very importantly, definitely don't be tempted to buy or copy a personal statement. And I'm sure none of you would, but just make sure you don't, because UCAS does have technology that will identify as soon as someone's personal statement is too similar to a previously submitted personal statement. So when a personal statement is submitted as part of a UCAS application, it does then get added to a library of personal statements, which the technology will compare. And if a personal statement is more than 10% similar to a previously submitted personal statement, then the universities that you have applied to will be alerted. However, don't be intimidated by that if you have previously applied through UCAS and then maybe decided to take a gap year and then applied again, because any personal statements that are submitted under the same name won't be compared through that technology. It is important not to exaggerate. And of course, this is a fine line because you do want to be able to talk up your achievements and put a good spin on them. But it is very important, of course, to remain honest and not exaggerate too much. If you have applied to a particularly competitive course or a course that does offer interviews routinely, and then they ask you about something in your personal statement and you're caught out in a lie, then that could be very awkward. Don't rely on a spell checker. Of course, do put it through a spell checker, but don't rely on the spell checker overly, because sometimes it doesn't always pick up all grammatical errors. And sometimes a word could be just the wrong word for that context, as opposed to an incorrectly spelled word. So don't completely rely on the spell checker, and don't let grammatical errors spoil your statement, because a well-written personal statement is a good personal statement. One tip on this is perhaps to read it out loud when you're asking people for their feedback, because when you actually read something out loud, it does actually tell you whether or not it's well written and whether it reads well. And give yourself plenty of time. So Johnny has outlined all of the deadlines. So make sure you give yourself plenty of time to plan it out, put together several drafts, and then come back to it several times to check on it, because admissions assessors can tell if a personal statement is rushed. So I think this is a useful graphic, really, just to summarize what your personal statement is trying to achieve. So you're explaining why you're applying, not necessarily to that university, but why you are applying to that course, why you want to study that course, why you're applying to study it at higher education level, what is it about that subject that interests you, and of course your future career plans. So what are you hoping to do after you finish that course? How will that course help you to achieve your future career ambitions? You're explaining what makes you suitable for that course. So how your skills and knowledge, achievements and experience will apply to that course and how they will help you succeed in that course. And that could be from everything you've undertaken, whether it's education, employment, work experience, or in your extracurricular activities that you've done in your free time. And very importantly, you're wanting to not just list everything that you've ever achieved, but you're wanting to focus on which of your skills and experiences are the most relevant. And this all goes back to the bit that Ali was covering. So she talked about doing your research and checking out all the different universities. And when you've narrowed down your choices, make sure you check the websites and the course pages of their websites, because then they will explain there exactly what it is that they are looking for. And what skills and experiences they're looking for in the applicants to that course. And the UCAS website, again, is the most useful resource you will have in this. So the UCAS website will not only help you research your courses, but it will also help you put together things like your personal statement. So they have things like a personal statement building tool. So it's a really useful resource, and I would definitely recommend you check the UCAS website when you're starting to think about your personal statement.
That's it, Daphne.
All right. Okay, and Ashley had to leave to her next meeting. So our students just had their the bell ring, and so they're gonna have to take off as well. Any quick questions, students, while we have our reps?
One thing, can I point out, the UCAS deadline's been extended this year. So it's the 26th of January. It's going to be for 2022 entry.
Oh, great. Excellent. Okay. Thank you all so much. That was really informative and just a great refresher for those of us that have heard it before, and a lot of terrific info for students who are new to it. Yes, thank you for being with us. We are really looking forward to seeing all of you in other sessions. And for students, do check out the schedule for the rest of International University Month. There's a lot coming. So you can hear about all these different regions in the UK. You'll probably hear more about UCAS. And the more you hear it, the more it will make sense. The more you'll be able to wrap your head around how different it is from the US and how to navigate this process. It is totally doable and totally affordable compared to US colleges. And thank you all for being with us today. I'm going to end our recording and wish everyone a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.